Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm here with Portia Harrigan, Donna Klein, and Samaj Bob of Ecamps. Welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you for having us.
for having us.
It's good to see you. Quite an interesting program you have, Ecamps.
Yes.
And by the name itself, it sounds interesting. So, Portia, you are the director, president of Ecamps. Talk us a little bit about what Ecamps is.
Well, the E in Ecamps really stand for education, empowerment, enlightenment, and experiential learning. And we set out to enlighten, empower, educate kids not through traditional means, but what we call non-traditional means. So we set out to do more hands-on activities, introduce them into certain communities, expose them to cultural issues, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
That's interesting. Because when you think about education, you think of it always in a classroom setting with books and so on. That whole concept, what's the origin of that concept and how does that work?
Well, there's a saying that a child who's educated only in the classroom is really not an educated child. So you have to get the child or children outside of the classroom to see how the world really functions. Because I'm sure you have the experience of interacting with children or young people when they graduate from high school. Yes, they may know their ABCs and their 1, 2, 3s, but they haven't learned how to relate that information to the world, to the work world, social world, and how the world really functions. And we try to instill in our children information that will enable them to utilize the information that they get in the classroom more effectively.
So what you do, what happens with the children? When the children come to Ecamps, what happens to them? What you do with them?
Yes, so for instance, we, during Easter holidays, we did a public speaking course with them. What we find with our kids is that they have the information, they haven't been taught how to express themselves, or they're unable to express themselves effectively. So during the Easter holidays, for instance, we have classes where we would teach them how to communicate effectively, the different means of communication, how to control body language, all that sort of stuff. Just the basic fundamentals we did over the Easter holiday, and we hope to expand on that program in September. Also, some of the programs we've done locally is we've tried to introduce them to the BVI. And you say introduce them to the BVI. They live here. Yes, they live here, but a lot of them really don't know the country. So we've done things like taking them on an historical tour of Main Street, getting them involved in producing a video so that they can tell the story. We've taken them to Salt Island to introduce them to scuba diving, because we have a lot of people who come to the BVI and enjoy scuba diving, but our kids are never exposed to it. So we try to do things like that with them. We've taken them to Anegada for a long weekend to go deep sea fishing, and then they had to, at the end of that period, scale their own fish, which Donna spoke about earlier on another program. They had to catch the fish, scale the fish, cook the fish, and that was their dinner for the couple days that we were there. Yeah, season it, cook it, everything. And so that was a tremendous experience for them. They learned about net making. We took them all around Anegada just to learn more about Anegada than they normally would. And most of those children had never been to Anegada. In our 2012 program, we did similar such things, taking them to Peter Island for the day so they can experience the spa. Things that you normally won't expose children to. Take them to lunch at Little Dick's Bay. Things like that are what we try to do so that they can be more aware of how to socialize.
So they experience life rather than learn about it in a book.
Yes.
They experience it themselves.
Yes.
Apply
Those are some of the things that we do, and I think I'll allow you to ask some more questions. But we're really excited about the program, and there's a lot more that we've done.
Okay, and of course on Salt Island they had a salt pond. And,
yes.
And many, I don't know how many kids know there's a salt pond on Salt Island, and what the history of the salt pond and what that meant for the BVI, and particularly people in the eastern area of the territory, what that meant in terms of seasonings and preserving fish. Preserving fish, that was a very important part of our history, the salt pond on Salt Island. So that must have been a good experience for them. How do kids participate? How do they get involved?
We have a general
program?
registration process. We've been limited over the past 2 years. We started in 2012, so this is our third year. We've been limited because of lack of base facilities where we can, so we've been using other people's properties and so forth. And so we've been limited to 30 children. And we hope to change that in September. It's where we can open the program up to a lot more kids. And you can just go online and register. We are a nonprofit organization, but we realize that we can't raise sufficient, we have not been able to raise sufficient funds to run our program. So we're still having to charge for them. But we're trying as much as we can to keep the rates as minimal as we possibly can, while ensuring that we can offer quality programs to our campers.
So right now you have about 30 children?
Yes, our core group is 30.
Okay. And if I want to register a child, and the ages are what, 9 to 17?
Yes.
And if I want to register a child, how do I do that, and what do I pay?
Well, because we want to integrate technology as much as possible, registration is all online, an online process. You log on to www.ecampsbvi.com, and we're launching 6 programs in September, and you can register for any one of those. They're $150 per month. There are 8 classes per month, per session, and we're running the courses from beginners to intermediate to a bit more advanced, and then beyond the advanced stage where they've learned all the fundamentals and so forth, they can go on to a more advanced stage, because we want to introduce things like videography, developing short films and that sort of thing, things that kids are really interested in. And they have their tablets and their phones. We want to ensure that they're using them more for education as well. We can't stop them from using it for entertainment, but we want to ensure that they're using them educationally. So we want to introduce, have children learn more about the whole idea of art as a career, not just something that you do to pass time. A budding entrepreneur program to teach children more about starting their own businesses. Photography that you can pursue as a career, so that you develop it from a professional perspective. And again, public speaking and etiquette, because we think that's critically important. And we think also that that is one of the areas where our young people fall down, not because they're not smart and not because they don't have the information, but because, again, they haven't been socialized in order to express themselves effectively. And that's one of our major areas that we want to focus on.
Now, you've taken them on some trips overseas.
Yes.
Yes. Where have you gone overseas to?
So last year we went to England and France for 2 weeks. Donna was on that trip with us as a chaperone, and Samaj was on that trip with us as a camper. And we spent, and I'll allow them to speak a little bit more about that.
That was the reason for that question. You're a little ahead of me, but that's cool.
Yeah, I'll allow them to speak a little bit more about that. But yes, it was an what we call these trips are learning journeys. And it was a truly educational trip, because some of the kids who went with us hadn't gone further than St. Thomas.
Yes.
And we did some very interesting things. I'm going to allow.
Okay. Donna, you went to Europe.
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah. And you were a chaperone.
Oh, yes, a good one.
You were a good chaperone in the in Ecamps.
Yes.
And as a chaperone, what you responsible for?
Chaperones are responsible for lights out. Chaperones are responsible to make sure they bathe, brush their teeth, regular hygiene. You know what? Conversation. How you feel today? Chaperones are doctors. Because they're changing weather in London.
You got to put on bandage. You got to make sure you dress properly.
Man,
they get a cold. You got to.
Right. Chaperones are mommies and daddies in one. And you're just like a big brother, big sister, mommy type, but fun with it.
Okay.
I think all parents should be like chaperones,
So you make sure that all the kids are taken care of. They follow the rules. Yes. They keep you keep everything in line.
Order. I pretty much was like the disciplinarian. Single file. They showed some pictures just now, like single file. When I say single file, it's single file. I'm not yelling. I just
You're just saying.
But I think it's the teacher training in me. I was also I was a great classroom manager, honestly. So single file. We're walking into tea at the
Marriott.
Marriott with Frank Savage. All of us dressed in nice tea dresses and suits. And when I say sit, sit. When I say talk softly. Because we're around some real serious
I could imagine.
high-class people.
I don't know how much fun.
Don't embarrass me.
How much fun could it be going with you with all this rigidity, Donna? You would drive me
Yes.
crazy. You would drive me crazy.
Look, when we're going out to dinner and we're around this huge table, all 30 of us, like 36, hands in your lap, no elbows on the table. The waitress is coming, the owner is coming to say hi, the chef is coming, please, you know.
Yeah. You keep everything
No
alive.
food fights. We had a great time.
So this is something that, of course, you're a volunteer, and it's something that you enjoy and,
gosh, it's
and
awesome.
contribution
Yeah.
to the kids. Now, that was when you went to Europe, but you went to the Salt Island, you went to
Yeah.
Anegada. You go to all those as a chaperone. You go to all these trips as well,
Right.
every trip.
It's not always glamour because we make sure our hotels aren't always the best, but we can't stress them out because our kids are spoiled kids. So when we did Anegada, that was a bit tough for them, you know, because it was like on the grounds, lots of mosquito bites, etc.
Was
And
it
we weren't-
like a camp out? Or
right.
it was like
Even though we
a-
used the rooms, and we had like 4 to 5 people in a room. Some rooms had more. You know, just learn to shack up. Take
So what were some of the
turns.
places you went to in Europe?
Oh
Well,
man.
first you went to England.
Yes.
And then you went to France.
Yes, of
And-
course, the Eiffel Tower and the Eye, the London Eye.
So you did a regular
And-
tourist thing.
Yeah, we did a lot of the tourist things, and also Berkshire. That was the best. You'd like that. We spent a day with the students of the Hertfordshire Parliament. They have a youth arm. I mean, like on like popcorn, and we spent a whole day working on manifestos. I wish we had pictures to show them. Our kids are on. You be proud. Be proud.
So they had
where's my
a
camera?
great experience. Well, let let Samaj talk about his experience in regarding all the things he did in Hertfordshire County. Yeah, that's
did the rock
that's
climbing.
our adopted city, right? The relationship that BBI has
Yes.
with that
Yes,
city.
the minister. Right. You're right.
How you doing, Samaj?
I'm good.
You're good. You're good. How you got to be involved in Ecamps?
Well, to be honest, I came home one day and my mother, I was doing my homework. My mother, she did the usual thing, asked me how my day was and all of that. Then she said, Samaj, I need to show you something. Then she showed me Ecamps and what it's all about. And I was really interested.
You're excited about it.
Yes.
And what that excitement sprang from? What about it that piqued your interest and your curiosity?
My curiosity is when it said it's not only in the classroom, it's exploring more, it's having more experience outside of the classroom.
And you just thought that would be a lot of fun, learning while you're doing things and hanging out and exploring new things and new places. That's great. So you went to Europe as well.
Yes.
You went to England and you went to France. What was that like for you?
To me, it was a whole new experience. It's much bigger than here in the BVI and very easy to get lost.
So were you kind of scared about things like
I was
crossing the
nerv-
street and,
I was
and you
kind
saw all
of
the cars?
nervous.
Yeah.
I was kind of nervous, but after a little while, I got used to it, and just
You just blend right in.
yes.
So what were some of the things that you learned from your experience? What you brought back with you? How did it make you feel?
To me, when I came back, I felt very proud because I knew a lot of things that I quizzed my friends on and they never knew before. Like the Westminster
Minster Abbey.
Abbey Churchill. Thought about 31 kings, princes, and queens were crowned there. And everybody in my school was like, wow, you know so much. And
Oh, so you came back with a lot of historic information.
So much
Exactly.
information.
Yeah, that's cool. And what hands-on things? Did y'all do any hands-on things? I mean, you went to places. Donna was talking about.
We went to the Science Museum.
Develop a manifesto and the Science Museum would have been a lot about interest in development, scientific experiments, and so on.
Yes, I think one of the things we were shocked at is how they were so interested in staying even after we were ready to leave.
The Science Museum.
The Science Museum, because it was, I think, one of the last things that we did, and they were so engaged. I was puzzled because people say, "Oh, kids are not so interested in science anymore," and they can't get them to be absorbed by science. And based on the way the information was presented, it really captured their attention, and it was mind-boggling. Well, I shouldn't say mind-boggling, because obviously we're not teaching them in the way that they feel they ought to be taught in order for them to be engaged in the subject matter.
For them to learn better.
Yes. We went to Kew Gardens, which they also found very interesting.
Yeah, kids actually loved plants. It was really
It was revealing all the things that you never thought of.
They're looking at these flowers and they're all up in the middle of these plants, and I'm like, wow.
The presentation, I think, is what made the huge difference. Like she said, we went to Hertfordshire and interacted with their peers at the Hertfordshire Youth Parliament. And I think our kids were a bit overwhelmed at what their peers were involved with. There were kids there, same age as ours, 12 to 17, and it was amazing at how mature these kids were and the kinds of activities that they were involved with and how much they lobbied the politicians for the rights of youth. It was not at all a political entity, it wasn't influenced heavily by government, and so these kids had a lot of power. They held their own annual conferences, they had their own manifesto, and I think, our children were really, I think, blown away by that interaction. And of course we had a lecture at the BVI London House and went to the theater to see The Lion King on Broadway. We did a number of interesting things.
And what happened in France? What you did in France?
So we walked through the Latin Quarter, which is a very interesting part of Paris, and then we went on a walking tour. We were only there for 2 days, so we went on a walking tour, went to the Louvre.
Eiffel Tower.
Spent a lot of our time at the Louvre, because there's a museum there, but we didn't get to spend much time there. And in both places, we always included a fun day, so we took them to Euro Disney, so that they didn't feel that it was all about work
and learning.
Yes. So we took them to Euro Disney for a day while in Paris.
Okay. So now you got this is 2014, and you have a new program.
Yes.
What events coming up? What events coming up for this year? What the plans are for this year?
The plans for this year: Asia, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and Singapore.
Well, you're going to the east.
And we're going to spend 3 weeks there. And we're going to explore historical sites, landmarks, Chinese culture. Social activities will be advanced. We will be hosted by walkers in Hong Kong. They're going to take us out. And we're going to go to
There's
Harney's.
a trust company.
Yeah, Harney's in Hong Kong. Coram Island Development and BVI Asia House. So we're going to see Elise Donovan, my cousin. We're going to hang out with her. And then we're going to go back to Singapore. That's where we're spending most of our time. 2 days in Malaysia, walking the villages, rice paddy, picking rice. Oh yeah, they're gonna do that, and they're also gonna do the pineapple farm and the pineapple farm and the coffee garden.
Okay, you going to Asia this trip?
Yes, sir.
So how many kids going to Asia?
We have 28 children. As I said earlier, our maximum is 30. We had 2 late. Kids didn't get their papers sorted, so there will be 28. And as Donna said, our first stop is Hong Kong, and of course we'll be doing some cultural activities there, educational activities, with 1 day of entertainment, and then we go on to Singapore, where we'll be hosted by the Bendemeer Secondary School. They will be our host, because the kids will be going to school for 4.5 days of the 2 weeks that we're in Singapore, interacting with Singaporean kids and the Singapore educational system.
Oh, cool. And the language is the same? Or
Yeah, they speak
they
very,
speak good English?
yeah, great English
So
in
that won't
Singapore.
be a challenge for our kids.
No, no.
And then from Singapore you go to Malaysia.
We spend 2 days in Malaysia. We go to Malaysia by coach, and we spend 2 days. We do cultural. It's actually 3 days. Do a cultural tour of Malaysia, museum tour.
Remember the batik
We do, experience the batik making and all that sort of stuff. It's all.
So how long is the entire?
The entire trip is 21 days.
That's a long time to be away from
21
home.
days.
Aren't you a little excited about that?
I'm a little excited and worried that I might miss my family as well.
Your mom is going, parents going to it?
Well, it just so happens that this year his mom is a chaperone as well. So we
Okay.
have 6 chaperones. Last year we had 1 male chaperone. This year we have 2 male chaperones and 4 female chaperones.
I was going to ask you about that. If you had any men along with you.
Yes, we have 2.
Four to five children per room.
4.
4 per room this time. We have down a 28-year-old.
So y'all gonna have your hands full. Sounds really exciting. I wish I was when I was growing up I had these opportunities. Sounds really exciting. Now you got some events coming up
Yes.
here in the BVI. You got a production coming up. I think
On Sunday.
Sunday
Sunday
coming.
the 1st.
Yeah. Talk to us about that production.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we're a non-profit organization. We have defined ways of self-sustenance, as the old people say.
You gotta make some money.
Yes. So we're having a fundraiser on Sunday, June 1st at the Eileen L. Parsons Auditorium, and it really is a musical production based around some of Disney's animated movies. So we'll have some singing and drama and dance by our Ecampers and our very special friends like Deanna Watley. Donna will be performing. Shane Liver. Some of the best BVI talent. Kirk Adams, we'll have performing with us on
Deanna.
a great, yes, there is Deanna as Rafiki. If anybody's seen the
That's a good looking costume.
yes, if
Yeah.
anybody's seen the Broadway production of The Lion King, Rafiki, the
Alright,
baboon.
Yeah.
And what are you gonna be, Donna?
I am just a pretty lady singing Can't You Feel the Love Tonight? And then I'm going to do some backup on Portia's He Lives in Me. Yeah, she's going to rock it.
You singing too?
That's a
That's
surprise.
that's the long. That's a surprise that everyone knows.
We have Cassandra Malone coming out with Hallelujah. Oh, it's going to be
It's
awesome.
gonna be awesome.
And our costumes are on.
And so that's Sunday.
Yes.
What
1st
day?
of June
The
at
1st
5
of June
p.m.
at 5 p.m.
And
at the
the-
Eileen L. Parsons Auditorium.
Yes.
And what's the cost
It's
again?
$10 for children, $20 for adults, and the tickets are available at Beautiful by Jazine, Bolos,
JNC
and JNC Department Store,
and parents.
and parents of Ecampers.
What other activities do you have planned in terms of fundraising events? This is your only fundraiser for the year? Or you
No,
have-
we've had a series of smaller fundraisers starting in November of
markets.
last year. You know, we've done the traditional food sale and flea markets and that sort of thing. We also have some supporters. I mean, you know, we haven't been able to raise significant amounts of money through sponsorship, but we have some contributors.
You want to give them a mention?
Yeah, I mean, we have a few people who contributed specifically to the Honorable Archie Christian and Banco Popular. They contribute to specific kids. And then Honorable Myron Walwyn has contributed. Ocean Conversion is our major supporter. Ashley Ritter also supports specific children. And of course, you know, Harneys will host us in Hong Kong, and Walkers will host us in Hong Kong and Singapore. And then we have a list of other contributors.
London House hosted us at the
BVI London House hosted us last year, and I think BVI Asia will host us one day while we're there as well.
We eat
But-
well.
But you know, the contributions.
Well, but that's great. You got some great partnerships with the
Right.
private sector, and I
Right.
think it's a great thing that you're able to make that connection and
Right.
not solely rely on government. So,
So
what you're looking forward to, Samaj? Give us the last words.
what I'm looking forward to is going in the classroom with the other children in Singapore, because I want to see how different it is for their learning experience from ours.
Good.
Yes, yeah, because we
Me
heard a lot.
too. I wanna see it
We heard a
too.
lot about Singapore's education system
Yeah, can't wait.
and how great it is, and that's going to be quite a tremendous experience for you to experience how the kids learn in Singapore, what teaching and learning methods and aids they have there, and could bring back some real good information.
4 days of
for the
school.
kids. Yeah. Well, listen. I want to thank you all for coming and enlightening us about Ecamps. It was I think some great information, and all the best in your travels, and much success. And I hope you enjoy your trip.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. We're gonna take and of course, do you want to give the last word, Portia?
I just want to say thank you to you for having us.
Thank you.
For allowing us to cast the shadow off of Ecamps, because people thought it was a mysterious organization.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, but no, we're just delighted to be here, and we look forward to serving more children who reside in the BVI. BVI landers and resident in the BVI. We look forward to serving more children come September of 2014.
Great,
Yes.
great. We're going to take a word from our sponsors. We're going to come back with Jan Bradford, the city manager. We're going to be talking about upcoming events in the city, developments in the city, what's going to be happening. Some things going to be happening for preparation for festival. It's going to be a lot of information right after these words from our sponsors. Keep it locked right at the Spotlight.
Spotlight is brought to you by Tortola Concrete Limited and H. Labadee South Community College.